And if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 5 is public participation and recognition. Subject A, acceptance of gifts and donations. This is an action item. That the Board of Education accepts with gratitude the donation of 25 Samsung Galaxy Tab 4 tablets with a value of $1,025 from American Marketing and Publishing of DeKalb to the Technology Department. The tablets will be used to support Google Expeditions and to control Spiro STEM devices in the district. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Jeff Albert,
Yes.
Smith McDavid,
Yes.
Sarah Moses. Yes. Victoria Newport. Yes. Jeremy Olson,
Yes.
Valerie Penny Hernandez.
Yes.
David Seaman.
Yes.
Subject B, recognition, Wirtz Award for Excellence in Education, Miss Katie Baraglia and Miss Cheryl Nakanecki. The Board of Education will recognize Katie Baraglia, Huntley Middle School educator, for being named the 2019 recipient of the Wirtz Award for Excellence in Education. Receiving certificates of recognition are nominees Colleen Solomon, Jill Springer, and Crystal Eggle. Congratulations to all.
Good evening. I'm Cheryl Knack, and I am with the DeKalb Education Foundation Wirtz Committee. Each year, the Wirtz Foundation presents the Wirtz Award for Excellence in Education. This award was established in 1989 to honor the memory of Wilbur Wirtz, Alpha Wirtz, and Jean Wirtz, all of whom were educators in DeKalb. This year is our 30th year of presenting this award. Marion Conde contacted the Wirtz family members in 1988 and raised money to set aside for staff recognition through the DeKalb Education Foundation. She passed away in 2007. The Wirtz Award is intended to encourage those high standards of innovative achievement that bring quality to a public school system and vitality to a community. It is made available annually to recognize the distinguished service of outstanding individuals who raise young people's sights or promote a program or organization that lifts students' sense of human values and purpose. Selection of the Wirtz Award was made from persons nominated by DeKalb 428 staff and was based upon the nominee's ability to positively influence, motivate, and inspire students. And these nominees, as well as Katie, received unbelievable letters from their colleagues, from students, and from parents. Wirtz committee members are Jenny Huber, Connie Rollman, Billy M., Mary Lynn Buckner, Pam Pickens, Vanika Good, Tim Vincent, Lori Alish Piper, and myself. The 2019 nominees for the Wirtz Award for Excellence, if you would come up when I call your name: Colleen Solomon from DeKalb High School, I hope you read your letters. Oh, okay, I'll work on that. Okay, Jill Springer from Cortland and Brooks. You read your letters? All right, you get a gold star. And Crystal Eagle from Lincoln. And it is my honor to present the 35th recipient, because some years there were two, of the 2019 Wirtz Award, 7th grade educator from Huntley Middle School, Katie Baraglia, who will also receive a $500 check from the foundation that Marion Conde got set up. So. And as I always say, cash that check soon.
Thank you.
Could I have the nominees and everyone out in the hall just for a quick picture? Would that be okay?
Yeah,
All
okay.
right, okay, great. Thank you all.
I love being a teacher. She's going to the hallway.
Item C will be recognition, 20-year service awards presented by Ms. Sarah Abadi. The Board of Education will recognize the following employees for their 20 years of service to the DeKalb School District.
Christie.
Well, we would really love all the 20-year recipients, when you hear your name, to please come down, because we need to recognize that in 1999, these folks decided that DeKalb would be their home and to be a teacher here in DeKalb, or a teacher, and there's many roles that these folks have been serving. And we can't thank you enough for your dedication to this district for 20 years. Thank you. So when you hear your name, if you could please come down, our board will give you recognition by shake your hand. And then we have a small token of our appreciation for your dedication to DeKalb District 428. Thank you so much. Whoops, pardon me. Julie Bassett, is she here tonight? Vicki Bach. Julie Bromlin. I'm sorry, I should have said what these two. Vicki is Cortland Elementary teacher, first grade teacher.
Yes.
Julie is a very happy DeKalb High School instructional assistant. She is very happy. We're very thankful for Cindy Cinnamon, who has touched many lives as a first grade teacher in Malta. Julie Clark. Come on down. Julie is now at the Ed Center, but has served as a secretary and office professional in our district for a number of years. Jodine Coulter. Jodine is one of our music teachers at the elementary level. Julie Craven. Julie, thank you for your dedication to phys ed at DeKalb High School. Nancy Epler has been serving as an instructional assistant at the Early Learning and Development Center. I don't think Ray Favor is here, but we thank him for being the Cortland Elementary custodian. Jeannie Burtz, come on down. Jeannie is an instructional assistant at DHS. 20 years. Julie Hoffman. Julie is a special ed teacher at Lincoln Elementary School. Elvina Ivy, come on down. Alpina. Patrick Kiley has been teaching at HMS as a phys ed teacher. Thank you, Patrick. Carl Long, also a PE teacher. There. Brooks Elementary School. Thank you, Carl. Rhonda Maney is at DHS as an office professional, and we thank her for her 20 years. Rose, an instructional assistant at Lincoln Elementary School. Amy Russell. Elementary third grade teacher. Trisha Schumacher. Trisha is an art teacher at DHS. Thank her when you see her, James. Pam Sullivan. Pam is the wonderful school secretary at the Early Learning and Development Center. Tammy Toole. I know you're here, aren't you? Tammy? No, Founders Elementary School is Kelly Zerby. I don't think she's here, but we should. 20 years you've been coming
Little John Founders Jefferson.
Teaching PE. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to again thank all of our 20-year recipients tonight, and we hope for another 20. Thank you so
Item B is recognition of district retirees. The Board of Education will recognize the following 2018-2019 district retirees as presented by Ms. Maya.
Thank you. We have several folks who have dedicated their careers to District 428. And we really want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for giving your career to us, to giving it to our students. That's the most important. How you touch the lives of so many students. I remember when we talk about how many years people have given to the education field, and then you count up how many students they've had in each of their classes. I can't look at you. In each of their classes, so how many lives you have touched by choosing education as your career. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your dedication to all of our children. So, maybe you shouldn't have picked me. I'm a crier. Maybe you didn't know that. I'm a crier. All right. So, thank you. When you hear your name, please come down, and we'd like to recognize your commitment to education. Ann Schultz, please come down. Ann has been teaching science at the DeKalb High School.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We want to, Charlotte Augsburg's not here, but we want to recognize that Charlotte served our district for many years in the Ed Center doing accounts payable. She was paying our bills. So thank you to Charlotte. Dean Cook, we want to thank Dean. He is a custodian at Huntley Middle School. We want to thank him for his Deb Partridge. Elementary School. Thank you, Deb. I want to thank Diane Drennan. Diane is a teacher at Lincoln Elementary School. Oh, okay. No, okay, sorry. I apologize. I'm like, wait, I don't think so. I don't know that. Full-time sub? Oh, that's why. Okay, but what did she say?
Science teacher.
Science, oh, yay, Diane. Thank you, Diane. Donna Cerny is not here this evening, but we want to also thank her for her dedication as an administrative assistant at the Ed Center for a number of years. Jay Smith, I don't believe Jay is here this evening, but he also is retiring. He thank him when you see him, from DeKalb High School science teacher. We want to thank Jennifer Clark. Jennifer Clark has been a health assistant for many years at Jefferson Elementary School. Also not here tonight, but Joan Cochran, who has been serving as a special ed teacher at DeKalb High School. Not here this evening, but we thank Christine Oakland, who's been an instructional assistant, a library media assistant at Tyler Elementary. And we want to thank Lori Phelps, who has dedicated her life to a number of kindergarten babies at Lincoln Elementary. We want to thank Becky Wolf. Becky Wolf has been an instructional assistant at Huntley Middle School. We want to thank her for her dedication. Nancy Miller, also an instructional assistant, and we want to thank her for giving all of her time and yes, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Time and dedication to our little bitty barbs and the early learning and development. And just walking in, woo-hoo, Jay Smith. Thank you for your dedication. He's been wearing his backpack there. And lastly, we want to thank Tom Anault. He is one of our custodians at Brooks Elementary School. And unfortunately, he's not here, but affectionately by Mr. Tom, correct?
Mr. Tom it is.
So again, thank you for all that you've given to DeKalb and all the children at DeKalb.
Item E, public comments. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order.
Foster Dahl. Foster, what's your subject?
Cat policy.
Cat policy, okay.
Well, first of all, thank you for listening to me this evening. My name is Foster Dahl, and I go to Lincoln Elementary, and I'll be talking about the hat policy. I feel it should change because hats are a way to express yourself, and I can't really find a reason why we can't wear hats in school. And hats are very comfortable to wear, but it can be uncomfortable right now. I did a petition and I got 55 signatures to change the policy. Thanks again for listening to me.
Item 6, presentations. I'm sorry. Item F, board committee reports and correspondence. This is informational. Does anybody have any reports? Number 6, presentations. Item A, instructional materials adoption proposal for Spanish 4. Senderos, Language 4 and Spanish 5 AP. Triangulo Apreciado by Dr. Vicki Tuskin, Dr. Gail Capert, Miss Amanda McCabe, and Miss Sarah Jennings. This is informational.
You'll give us just one moment, we'll pull up the presentation. Jenny, can you help us with the slide? No. Yes, could you please? First, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our board members to our district. We want to thank all of you for your service. And just thank you for the way that you're going to guide and support us as we move forward. And that's a thank you from the C&I department as well as the staff amongst our schools. So tonight we're coming before you to present a materials proposal from the World Languages Department. Let me introduce, this is Dr. Gail Capert. She's the area coordinator for the department, Amanda McKay, and then Sarah Jennings. And so we're going to be sharing with you the proposal, the process in which we go through in the district when we select new materials. And they're going to really do most of the talking because they're the ones who have selected them and are going to really present the information to you. Thank you, Jenny. So the rationale, when we get ready to adopt new materials, we look to what the standards are asking of us in terms of instruction, but in particular in terms of what our students need. And just previously, before the new school board came on in April, the previous school board had just approved new materials for Spanish 1, 2, and 3, and French 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're coming before you now with the remaining 2 groups, Spanish 4 and Spanish 5. And like the other groups that we described to you in March and April, Spanish 4 and Spanish 5 have not had new materials since 2006. And during that time, 2006 to 2019, obviously there's been a lot of changes in the world of teaching foreign language. Primarily, the standards have changed. The ACL standards, American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Language standards have put in place. They are far more rigorous. They really delve deeply into the culture, but particularly the communication piece of foreign language. And so because of that major shift in instruction and demands upon our students, we definitely needed to make a change in terms of our materials. Next slide. Thank you, Dr. Newberg. So the process that we engaged in, and I cannot emphasize enough, the World Languages Department worked very, very hard to bring us up to this point. Because unlike when we're looking for materials that are based upon the Common Core, world languages aren't based on the Common Core. And the last time when they bought materials, it was the old Illinois Learning Standards. So the first thing we had to do way back in July is we had to look at realigning the existing curriculum to the more rigorous ACFL standards. And that took weeks. The team worked very, very hard. But it was through that process we were able to develop a standards-based rubric to use as we vetted out the new materials that are out there. So then the past fall, they reviewed as a department several sets of materials using the rubric that they had developed. They narrowed the sets of materials to 3 publishers. We then invited the publishers in January to present, and then those were the materials that we presented to you back in March and April. However, given the rigorous and unique needs of Spanish 4 and Spanish 5, these 2 instructors chose to take extra time to find the right materials that really suited the needs of students at those levels. So I'm going to actually turn the rest of this presentation over to them until we get to the cost, and let them explain to you Spanish 4, which is Senderos 24 by Vista Publishing, and then Spanish 5, which is our AP course, Triángulo Apreciado, the practicing. Thanks. A 6th edition by Wayside Publishing. So Amanda, why don't you begin?
Okay, so the book that I was looking at that I've chosen for Spanish 4 is Senderos 4. And what I really liked about this book was the organizational layout of the grammar presentation, the grammar and vocabulary, the way it's laid out throughout the different units. I felt that I could really see designing communicative units around these and the topics that it is worked in each chapter and each unit throughout it. And what I like especially about this text is it's completely online, it's very interactive. There are a lot of listening activities, so students at home, if they want to, can just play it over and over again. It also differentiates it's the different levels of listening. So students with different levels of ability, people who speak Spanish at home, they have more materials available to them than what right now, listening materials, they're not available for what we have online at all. Also, the workbook is online so that if I assign students homework, I can choose to set how many attempts I want to give them to get their homework right. They get instant feedback on that homework. Obviously, you're still going to have traditional homework where they have to write me an essay or they have to write about different things, but a lot of the daily, just especially the grammar, the verb conjugations, they can do that online and look at that immediate feedback so that we don't have to spend time in class going over certain exercises that we do now. We can spend our time more focused on other activities in class that they need to be in class to do. So really it's that communication aspect that I found was really good. The organization of the units into the different themes that I think this Spanish 4 is honors, so it feeds into Spanish 5, which is AP. The thematic units were well organized that will help children be guided to that. Also, as Vicki said, the ACFL standards also help our students possibly achieve the seal of biliteracy. And I felt that these materials will be very good to help them practice for the seal of biliteracy.
They speak and then are spoken back to? Is it check vocabulary not on computer, right? I mean, that's not something.
You're talking about the online homework exercises? They are able to hear, they can record their voices, but I would have to go through and listen. The online
I'm just.
System doesn't, yeah, it doesn't, yeah.
It will, on the computer, it will tell you the correct pronunciation.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the nice thing about here is like you can click on all the words and it pronounces it for them so they can hear that, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Should I go on?
Mhm.
Okay, great. So the book that I'm proposing is Triángulo Apreciado, the 6th edition. We've used the other Triángulo book since we adopted the course about 10 years ago. And what I really like about this particular series is that it has a similar layout to the current text. But it seems to have, I actually asked my current AP students to help me review the materials and ask what they thought about it, if they thought it would be a good fit for future classes. And what they really liked about it was that the text and the audio selections seemed to be more engaging than some of the other ones in the other book. They just seemed to relate to them more. They felt that they were also written and spoken at a more comprehensible text. One thing that we find is we have a variety of levels at AP. So we have students whose home language is Spanish, so they're fluent Spanish speakers, but their academic skills may not be where they need to be to understand these really advanced texts. And so then it's very difficult for our students whose first language is not Spanish. And so it seems like we are sort of balancing out for our students. We're still keeping that rigor there, but the difficulty level of the text, it is still rigorous, but it's more comprehensible to more students. Is the point I'm trying to make. So they felt that it's more comprehensible and it's more engaging. That was the comment from my current student. What I also like is that this book is aligned to ACTFL's World Readiness Standards for Learning Language, and it provides students with a variety of authentic texts and audio selections and AP prep activities that allow students to learn about the cultural products, practices, and perspectives of Spanish-speaking countries. It also includes ideas for integrated performance assessments and rubrics, so students can demonstrate what they know. Wow, I don't know. Let me go back. I'm getting nervous. Sorry. It includes ideas for integrated performance assessments and rubrics, so students can demonstrate what they can do across all 4 modes of communication, while integrating what they know about the 3 Ps, the products, practices, and perspectives of the cultures of Spanish-speaking countries. And it has an online platform similar to the one that Amanda spoke about. And this particular platform allows the students to read and listen to the audio text, they can listen to, and then they can read the articles, and then they can take multiple choice tests, which gives them instant feedback. So normally that's something that we do in class currently, and then so it takes me a day or 2 to get that graded. But just because of the online component, they have that instant feedback, and the students are given, they're able to see what the correct answer is, and then a justification for the correct answer as well, which is something we do spend a lot of time in class talking about that too. Regarding the speaking that you had asked about, that is something that we would spend a lot more time on in class developing, which I think I know
we do a lot of that.
do a lot of too, but the Triángulo book gives students supplemental activities to do. So if they do need further practice for the cultural comparison, which is a spoken activity that they have to do, or a simulated conversation, there are additional opportunities on the online platform than there are in the book.
Question. The supplemental work that you just spoke about, I get supplemental, but how much of that is required?
That's a good question. I think I need to look at the pacing of more of the scope and sequence once we actually sit down and do our curricular planning for next year. In my mind, I'm thinking that is going to be more for either enrichment or just some differentiation for students, that more like if a student needs more practice with, let's say, the simulated conversation, then maybe I could assign it to that particular student that needs that extra help. Whereas another kid might need help with reading. And so that I could assign that particular supplemental text to that student.
The nice thing about students at our level is they're very self-motivated, and so they want to know what they have to do, but then they also want to know what they can do. More and more, and since we've adopted materials in 2006, people recognize the need and the desire to speak and understand Spanish. So those speaking activities are so invaluable that we can provide that.
That's a conversation, no pun intended, but that was an ongoing conversation through this whole materials process. Because back when we were all learning foreign language in high school, it was pretty much a drill and kill and memorizing grammar and then passing the test. It looks very different now, and it's going to be a huge boost to our world language department to have such not just current materials, but really reflect that rigor that's reflected in the new standards. You guys can, if you would like, they'll pass the materials across your table so you can take a look at them.
I'll let them work.
Plus, in addition, they'll be on display at the Ed Center starting tomorrow for a month. That would be
They look so different than the online, but that's what they look like in print, so.
And you have these in your board documents, but the cost for Senderos, we came up with how many to order with the help of Sean Potts and James Horn, the admin here at the high school. We were able to look at trend data in terms of where the numbers are going within the world languages department. So these numbers, we just didn't kind of yank out of the air. We really did use some trend line data. So for Spanish 4, Senderos, we're purchasing 150 student books along with additional interactive online. And when you buy these licenses, they're traditionally in 6-year packets. So for that course, it'll be $19,545. And then for Spanish 5, our AP course, Triangulo, it's 40 digital packages licenses with an additional 25 student books to the cost of $3,727.80.
Seems like a very reasonable price.
It is.
Thank you for negotiating.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions for our representatives of the World Language Department?
Price, how many kids are going to be utilizing it?
I believe next year we get 125, 130 enrolled in Spanish 4 for next year. So we get the online, every student will have access to the online text, the online workbook, and then there will be class sets so that class students' books that they can use in the classroom.
We've moved away from getting individual books for every student, but we set the classrooms up with class sets.
Well, I just want to say quickly, thank you for the diligence, because it appears as though you looked and you looked again. So these must mean a lot to you and to your educating. So I'm not here to micromanage, and it sounds reasonable to me, so thank you.
And then for Spanish speakers, we actually did not find a textbook series after talking to so many schools that we just decided instead of going with something we really weren't happy with, we're gonna wait one more year and reach out to even more schools.
I'll be back to you next year.
So we'll be back for that, and hopefully with a proposal for a second Spanish speaker class, which we desperately need, so second level, so.
Is there consensus to bring this back as an action item?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello. Item B, instructional materials adoption proposal for code, high school, or HS. Dr. Vicki Tuskin, Mr. Ben Vale, and Mr. Michael Lofthouse. It's an informational item.
Hi, I'm Michael Lofthouse. I'm a math teacher here at DeKalb High School, and next year I will be teaching AP Computer Science for the first time. I kind of wanted to start this with an anecdote because there are plenty of ways you could teach computer science, and my first experience didn't go super great. Right out of high school, I knew I was interested in math and science. Maybe I wanted to try coding. So I signed up for a class. I purchased a $200 textbook. It was out of date by the time I brought it home. I had to do my homework in a notebook. I submitted the notebook to a TA who had to check all my semicolons and braces, return it to me 2 weeks later. And if I actually wanted to practice the material, I either needed to sign up in the computer lab to get a time slot, or I could go home on my 56K internet and try to download a compiler and figure out how it works, given that my textbook was, again, out of date. It wasn't very good. Needless to say, I did not major in computer science the first time around. So when we were looking at how we wanted to go about teaching this to high school kids and making sure they had an experience that was not only engaging, but gave them good feedback, not wait 2 weeks, but actually type code, hit enter, and watch it compile and run right in front of them. Something that gave them that differentiation. Hey, you're good at this, you're ready to move on, or hold on, let's flag this and maybe call a teacher over. Something that's always available, especially on the Chromebook, something compatible with the tech we have, compatible with the internet that we all now have here in the building, something that's modern and always updated. CodeHS is what we have found. We have piloted this now in our computer science 1 and 2 classes, and I really look forward to doing this with my AP classes next year. And Ms. Tuscan is all the details. Ms. Tuscan, sorry.
Okay, so this discussion actually started about 1.5 years ago, and I'm actually going to hand the baton back to Ben, because Ben really, along with Michael, spearheaded this whole initiative, recognizing that though we had computer programming at the high school, it was antiquated and to the point where we were having trouble finding the books for the course. So actually, I'm going to let Ben, I'm passing the baton to you,
Sure.
to really kind of explain the rationale, how we landed with CodeHS, and then I'll wrap up with the cost.
So we were looking for something that would be almost like a platform as a service. So where we could actually have our students sign in and be able to reach the content they're looking for and be able to go at their own pace. And that would be accessible for our teachers, whether they've had an enormous amount of training within coding or if they're sort of just getting into it themselves as well. So a lot of the curriculum is self-paced, so and it ranges all the way from students who are just learning about the logic behind computer science, but scales all the way to AP courses in Java. So it is college and career ready based, in which it allows a student to scale whether they're in middle school all the way up, but specifically concentrating at the high school at this time. We were looking at it so that way we could have multiple tiers of computer programming that would then get a student to that AP class by the time they're a junior or senior. So it goes from entry level to then intermediate to then actual programming in current languages that colleges and businesses would be looking for. So with someone who would actually pass the AP exam in Java, there are careers already available now, just even as a high school graduate at around the $30,000 range. So we're looking for something that would be either career-driven or even college-driven for our students. And looking at a lot of these various platforms, we found this to be the most accessible and readily available. And they've been expanding it as well, even beyond computer science, and also including some coursework for EL students. So there's some opportunities there for our Spanish-speaking students, as well as students who are maybe more interested in something like cybersecurity or things like that. There's some entry-level coursework involved in that as well. So working with the CTE program and looking at ways in which they can expand some of their curriculum, and all doing it under the same platform that we've already sort of implemented at the high school now that allows us to scale. So
what we did during the summer of 2018, prepared for the pilot of these materials. So CodeHS is being then used this entire first school year through professional development for Scott Schumacher and then with Michael Lofthouse. Then throughout 2018, 2019, as a pilot, these were the core materials for Computer Science 1, Computer Science 2, and then with the hope of then implementing AP Computer Science this coming school year. And you may recall, former board members of the former board, we asked you to approve those courses back last fall. They were part of the course handbook, and there are now students enrolled to take these courses coming this fall, utilizing CodeHS. And so they will be the core materials for Computer Science 1, Computer Science 2, and AP Computer Science, all newly approved courses. The cost, it will be, and has been $9,800 per year as a site license. And again, I'm going to turn to Ben. Ben helps me understand the difference between the kind of digital licenses we deal with other curriculum materials and what this site license looks like.
So the site license would be specific to DeKalb High School. It would allow upwards of 10 instructors and a limited number of students to be able to enter into the coursework and be able to move at their own pace. So if you have a student who, let's say, starts off with a intro to computer logic and starts just taking off with it, they can just go right into Python or C, C++. They can just move right along. And we can have instructors at multiple levels or even students at multiple levels within the same class at different times. So it's very flexible, but the only way you can really do that is if it's a site license. It also gives us the ability to not be pigeonholed if the courses just really take off. Because otherwise you have to specifically state how many students you're going to have enrolled in each class, and the cost savings is pretty negligible compared to just opening it up. So.
Questions?
Question. So located at the high school, seems like that would make sense anyway, since freshman level, basically. Do you feel that would inhibit 8th grade experimentation in something like this? Can they be brought over to the high school to use this? If they need to? Or do you feel that it's not necessary, that 8th grade really this is beyond 8th grade anyway?
Honestly, I mean, if this starts to take off, I could see this starting as low as elementary students and scaling up. There is coursework even for elementary students, but as STEM and STEAM-based curriculums start to expand and 21st century skills start to take hold even more than they already have, then it only makes sense to introduce our students into career pathways which they can find legitimate careers as soon as they graduate. So computer programming, coding, designing are some of the most lucrative and sought after jobs in the market currently. So any way we can start scaling this further than the high school makes 100% sense, but again, it has to follow the curriculum. And as soon as the curriculum is at that place, then it makes sense to introduce a platform that would allow the students to take advantage.
Okay, good.
I just wanted to point out, so I just took the high school robotics team to Detroit. In addition to the high
Thank
school,
you.
appreciate it. In addition to the high school level competition, there is a middle school, what we call the junior varsity version, but a middle school version of the same robotics competition. The robots are smaller, but the coding is just as intense. And it is coding in Java, which is an industry language, the one we're going to teach.
This coding.
Yeah, coding.
Right.
And it would be at the level that I'm going to be teaching juniors and seniors. There are middle schoolers who are not only capable, but I mean, go to world level competitions, and they got to play on Ford Field right next to us. So I mean, it is amazing to see.
So as we get there, we can talk further about expanding this from the high school.
I would be excited to, yes.
Which is what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Second question is dual track. In other words, AP dual track. It sounds to me this is absolutely right up the alley. We've been talking about this at where I work, is that high schools are doing dual track, meaning they're doing college or junior college level courses.
Are you talking dual credit or AP?
Say again?
Are you talking dual credit courses?
Dual credit courses, meaning, I'm sorry, AP type, but yes, dual credit courses. This seems like that would be right up that alley. In other words, you'd be moving out of high school and right into a job, right? I mean, this is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
You'd
goal
be preparing them for jobs.
Yeah, I mean, that is our goal, is to prepare our students for college and career. And
Or
this-
career.
Yes, exactly. And this does fit into that category.
Go to boot camps.
Yeah, it does scale
Coding boot
directly
camps
to it.
will take students fresh out of an AP or an IB level course and say, well, that checks our box for entry level. These are 6 to 8 week programs. Some are longer if you're doing full stack stuff, but it'll take somebody fresh out of high school who has the requisite background knowledge, get them trained up, and they call it boot camp because you're going to live, breathe, eat, and sweat code. But by the time you're out of it, that's an industry job ready to go. I mean, that's shorter than most schools I'm aware of.
Well, it's very forward thinking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we at a consensus to bring this? I'm sorry, I didn't see.
When I hear site license, does that mean this platform is only accessible here at high school?
At the high school currently. So we want to make sure that this takes off the way in which we assume it will. We've already seen an increase in the number of students who are signing up for the courses and scheduling.
Yeah.
So our hope is, yes, that as soon as it starts to catch traction here, then we want to start to introduce some of those more elementary-based logical skills into the middle school and then tier it down even.
Well, what I'm really asking is, say there's a homework assignment, are students able to access the platform?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So site doesn't mean.
No, not
brick and mortar.
physical, just that they have to be a DeKalb High School student, enrolled in the course with an instructor that's tied to it.
We're also starting to explore, because this platform is so multi-dimensional, it has an interdisciplinary component to it that can support other science subject areas. And then we did talk, when we talked with the consultant a couple of weeks ago, started to look and explore what those middle school offerings would look like. And then I think to your point, Jeff, then as we look at the scope and sequence of what's going on at the middle school and its the tight schedule, how some of that then could be important.
Quick question. This product, how does it rank in terms of the best possible product we could get for our money kind of thing? Or not even for our money, just the best there is. Is this like a top tier thing? Is this sort of a medium tier team or?
Well, it's kind of interesting because the market is all over the place. So school districts are closer to Chicago, have more of an opportunity to bring in, specific organizations who then come and teach those subjects. So people who actually design day in and day out, they come in twice a week, and then you have your core instructor who then supplements the materials in between. There are those options, but they don't come all the way up to DeKalb. There's also options where a lot of districts in the area have gone more of a freemium sort of version where they try to use open source based options, but it's very much based on the abilities of the instructor to then carry out and supplement as they go. And there would be a lot more building of that platform and creating a scope and sequence from a curriculum perspective in order to make that what this already is. So this is what I would consider a top tier product for teaching the students without it having to be sort of like that premium or trying to find somebody to be willing to come all the way out to DeKalb to supplement.
And this is a completely online service, so as they upgrade, we upgrade the whole time, right? So there's no updating.
No more $200 textbooks that are updated.
Yeah.
And I wanted to point out just with the kind of the tier thing, the fact that this is available on Chromebooks puts it a real step above. I used an online platform when I was learning, kind of when I went back to learn. My online platform was through a move to a massive online community college, and it was Windows only. And so we would be talking about a computer lab and a course versus something that they could do on Chromebooks that they could take home with them. So from an access standpoint, making sure that a student who enrolls in the course can practice at home, this really is one of the better options. It's right there on the computers they already have.
As well as trying to support students at home with compilers. That you don't want to do that.
So, yeah, can we bring this back as, or can we have consensus to bring it back as an action item?
Yes.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Number 7 is our non-business consent agenda. It's an action item that the Board of Education approve the non-business consent agenda items A through J.
Move.
Second. Roll call, please.
Sarah Moses. Yes. Victoria Newport. Yes. Jeremy Olson.
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez.
Yes.
David Seymour.
Yes.
Jeff Algren.
Yes.
Samantha Mitchell.
Yes. Number 8 is a business consent agenda. A is approval of purchase order requisition list. It's an action item that the Board of Education approve the business consent agenda item A as attached. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second. Roll call, please.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Jeremy Olson.
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez.
Yes.
David Seymour.
Yes.
Jeff Algren.
Yes.
Samantha McDavid.
Yes.
Sarah Moses.
Yes.
Number 9, new business and administration. Subject A, 2019-2020 position FTE increase request. This is a discussion and information.
So included within your packet tonight, there is request from administration for additional FTE for the following year. The administration is seeking consensus and approval for the board to bring this back at our next meeting for approval. And if we gather that tonight, then also to post these positions as anticipated in an effort to secure these vacancies.
Yes.
Discussion.
Confirming, this is what we had discussed. These are the items that we discussed and nothing else. These are the issues that we had talked about and dealt with earlier. Thank you so much.
Is there a motion? Oh, wait, we just need a consensus to bring it back. I'm sorry. Is there consensus to bring this back as an action item?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Subject B, school-wide Title I plans for elementary and middle school. Dr. Jenny Huber, Miss Kimberly Lyle, and Dr. Vicki Tuskin. This is an information item.
This is our annual time that we come back each year. We have to have our building level Title I plans approved by the board in order for our grants to be released. This is a process that our buildings go through. The Title I plans that you see in here are revised each year. They're not started over. They're in the process now. They'll look at their needs, the data for this year, and when we roll into next year, they'll take this plan. They'll look at the goals that they have set based on the students' data from spring, and then what we'll get in the fall and revise those plans. In elementary, our buildings have 4 goals in reading, math, social emotional learning, and parent engagement. And then this year with the new requirements from ESSA that came in midway through the year, some of our buildings, their plans, you will see, have their work plans linked in there. And next year, we will morph that all together. So they aren't working on 2 separate sets of goals, but that will be the plan for the fall.
At the secondary level, and again, for our newer board members, Title I is a relatively new thing within both middle schools. Traditionally, for a long time, Title I only covered our elementary schools. And starting 2 years ago, we started the process of first the 2 middle schools being targeted, and then this year was the first time we were school-wide. And what that means is a certain segment of the Title I dollars that the district receives is designated now for the both middle schools based upon the process of the formal needs assessment that we did 2 years ago. The focus is on math and math only. And so the plans that you see in the middle school will look different because it is not as all encompassing as Title I at the elementary level. We use other grant monies at the secondary level to supplement and support instruction. But the focus going forward is the 2 middle schools will be redoing their needs assessments this spring. I linked those, they'll look at that needs assessment into your packet. And then going into the fall, per the school designation and the work plans that both schools did as Tier 3 schools, they have set specific SMART goals as part of their work plans. Those also will be part of their Title I school plans. So again, as Kim spoke to, so that we don't have multiple goals going to multiple grants, we're really trying to encompass it together so we're working towards one purpose.
Questions? Do we have consensus to bring this back as an action item?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Subject C, recommended revisions to Board of Education policies. First reading by Superintendent Jamie Craven. That Board of Education will hold a first reading of recommended revisions from the Illinois Association of School Boards to Board of Education policies as attached.
Included in your packets are the Press Plus board policy recommendations as suggested by the Illinois Association of School Boards in the April 2019 edition. These recommendations are the result of statutory or legal changes, and many of the cited changes are simple updates and reference and different citations. I had shared out with you well previous to this board meeting my summary and explanation and recommendations. And this is in your board packet, I had recommended initially that we not address one of the board policies. And I have since had an opportunity to review not only with our legal team, but review personally, and am comfortable saying that we do have the resources available to carry out the recommendations that are within that policy. So again, in a memo that I had shared with you, I said, I don't think we're going forward with this policy. It wouldn't be my recommendation. And I'm now recommending that all be approved as presented.
Are there any questions, discussion? Do we have consensus to bring this back as an action item?
Yes.
Okay, number 10, adjournment. With that, the meeting will be adjourned. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.